Call meeting to order. First item is approval of the meeting agenda. Everyone seen the agenda?
Yep.
But I don't know.
I'd like to make a proposal that we
Okay.
add something. I don't know if it would be considered new business or maybe ongoing at the end to, and maybe we don't do it today, but as a regular thing on the agenda, are open action items, address where we stand on those.
Okay,
Under old business, I second that.
That's probably right,
Yeah.
new business, okay.
I second that.
Mhm.
If that has to be a motion, does that have to be a motion?
Well, I think it's part of discussion under the existing motion to approve the agenda.
Just to put it in,
Yeah.
okay? So as amended then,
Right.
we, did I understand you say you're making it part of this motion?
Yes.
Okay. And
I'll second.
you second?
Yeah.
it? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Minutes, October 9th. Um,
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 9th. Set the date, yeah, as presented.
okay. Do I have a second?
I wasn't there on the 9th.
I don't think it matters.
Oh, okay, yeah. Second.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any discussion or any changes? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
At the fire
Min-
department, we used to have a rule that said, get your name on the minutes somehow so you could prove you were there.
okay, review of the monthly treasurer's report. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, so I sent you guys, I think it was last week
Yeah, you sent it
or Monday,
Tuesday or Monday? Yeah.
would have been Monday. We were closed Tuesday.
Hmm.
So this is the treasurer's report for activities through September 30th. If you have any questions regarding this, there are a couple things I took note of, such as there were some variance between last year's revenues year to date and expenditures, some of those. So for FY 26, we have 216,000 more in revenues than previous years. That is mainly because of the photo enforcement. That was in the infancy of the first quarter of the year. So that generated in the first quarter of the fiscal year, 149,000 in FY 26, but 23,000 in FY 25. So that's the majority of it. Also, our real property tax, the amount that was collected was 12.3% higher than the same time last year. But one thing to note, permits decreased 62%, but it wasn't a significant amount in dollar cost. The reasons for the decrease in expenditures is a combination of capital projects that were being done at the beginning of last year that aren't being done this year, and personnel changes that happened last year that's affecting that decrease for this year.
Out of interest, why is the police under general fund operating expenditure so big? When you look,
It's because
Is
that's a
that personnel?
percentage. That's the percentage of their expenditures. The police department is the most expensive department under the general government. So that shows you the percentage of each department under the general government activities.
Police
So
Department labor is part of that, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I noticed it was a little down from the year
Mhm.
before. But I just-
It's because the labor, we have
It's
the
like-
vacant position of the captain because the captain was promoted to the chief. So there's a vacant position. We also have 2 vacant officer positions. So that's part of the reason why it's less. Yeah. And the same thing with Public Works Administration, it's personnel, that's why it's less. And then for streets and stormways, it was because of capital between the streets that were being paved at the beginning of last year, where we haven't even started that this year.
Okay.
I think there were a couple things in the enterprise fund. So the water enterprise fund, you see that we've already expensed 58.9% of contracting services. Part of that is because we have a water tower maintenance agreement for 10 years, and that expense happens in the beginning
Okay.
of the year. And also they did a lot of fire hydrant repairs in the first quarter of this year. So that accounts for that.
Remind me what our fiscal year is?
It's July 1st
July.
through June 30th.
So yeah, 58, that's pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see that there's a decrease in revenue, and that's mainly because the sale of meters, we aren't selling those. Development has slowed with the water
Water
issue.
So can I ask a citizen's question there? This citizen received a notice the other day that my meter is not working, so my water bill is estimated.
Okay.
So do we contract that work out of reading the meters?
Well, no, but I want to correct something. It's not the water meter that's not working. It's the node that's transmitting the data that's not working. There's different. The water meters are not the issue. It's the data that we're getting. So yeah, you just need to contact Public Works to replace that node.
So that was my wife's question. If I'm getting this, am I getting this notice from the town or a contractor?
No, it would be a notice from us.
Pardon me?
It would be from us.
Okay, well then why is the town asking the customer to call the town if the town already knows the problem?
Well, because we have to go in and fix it. The meters,
They want-
everything's in your
Oh,
house. We have,
schedule.
yes,
Oh.
We have to
they-
schedule
they
so that
come
we
on
can get-
inside out.
yes. So we can get an
That
actual
node is not
reading.
on the outside.
Mhm. Yeah. So we need to replace the node so that we can get the data and get an actual reading so we can make sure the billing is correct.
So you've
Okay.
got an estimated bill then, I guess.
Yes, I'll get an estimated bill, but from a finance committee purpose, I was just wondering how much of this work is contracted out? And how much is it done directly by our,
We do have
Public
on
work.
call, but for right now, my understanding is town employees are taking care of it.
Gotcha.
You just make an appointment, a town employee will go out, replace the node, get an actual reading, and then it goes to billing, and billing is going to calculate between what was actual and estimate.
Right.
On the sewer side, the revenue is much higher. That's because of the bond proceeds that were received. On the flip side is major facility fees have gone down because, again, development is, there's no more new permits being approved. On the expense side, the variances for capital, this year we purchased vehicles and equipment that were not purchased last year.
I like your new format.
Oh, good.
It's to the point.
Sanitation seems on par. And then with stormwater, the only thing that is the budget remaining of 38% on contracted services was because of emergency repairs for stormwater at Wood Duck Circle.
Do you think they could get to my street? It's only been roped off for about 2 years now.
Where do you live?
King's Grant,
Thanks, Fred. I will put a note here.
yeah.
so the fact that you, Karen, raised that question when you did suggests to me that the remainder of the year is not going to get better. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So we're not going to meet the
Well,
budget.
well, not necessarily, because you can see that supplies and material, we put a lot in there too. This was a contracted out repair where supplies and material, we're only at 96%, and we have 269,000 that we budgeted, only 10,000. So it was, the idea was town staff was going to start getting these projects done, and that's why we put that budget in the supplies and materials.
Yeah, I think if you, throughout the whole document, there's a lot of 90 to 80%
Mhm,
budget
yeah.
remaining.
Yeah.
So, and we're almost halfway through the fiscal year.
Right.
Well,
Well,
we're
this
quarter.
would have been.
This would be a quarter, yeah,
sorry.
but
So,
yeah, we had a contract that out. Well,
At the standard still?
this is, yeah, so this report is through September, so
Through
the
September.
first quarter.
Yeah, so first,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, this is the quarterly
So,
report.
Yeah, there's a lot within,
Mhm.
there's a lot above 75, so
Yeah.
I think it's
Yep.
on average healthy.
Okay, any questions regarding the treasurer's report?
Do you have any concerns?
Not at this time. It's really hard to tell. I know that some expenses are front load because we have prepaids that we do, but unless, the only thing that I would be concerned about is say winter comes and we have a lot of water main breaks
Mhm.
that we didn't budget for, that could be an issue, but it's one of those things that you can't really tell. But, as far as our regular operating, I don't see anything yet that's concerning.
Okay, and under that scary supposition you just raised, we have process in place to dig into reserves?
Hmm.
I mean, if we have big water main
Well,
break,
yeah,
This
it's
project
something that
affect the
happens.
budget, would-
Yeah, when we
we would amend. the
We
budget.
would, when we bring it, because if we have a lot of issues, we're gonna have to go to council anyways, because it's gonna be over 20,000. And that's when I bring up if we have to do a budget amendment for unplanned expenses. But there is some of that already incorporated in the budget, anticipating that we are gonna have maintenance and repair. Any questions on the cash distribution report?
You bring that one up, but I was gonna think that out first.
Okay. Board. Colonial Ford, what was that?
They're our fleet maintenance group, right?
Which one are you looking at?
Colonial Ford truck sales.
Did you buy a truck?
The very
I don't see that on this
Very
one
top.
list.
on the list.
Oh,
Well,
it's
there-
the check report.
Oh, I think you sent us the August one.
Did I send you guys that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This
No,
big
the
I
August.
think
September?
that's why,
Oh.
that's why I was.
Okay, well, in September, there
Oh, yeah,
was,
it's August, okay.
sorry, I thought I attached
No worries.
September. Okay, well, September, there was equipment purchase for 93,000. Then we, of course, we have the insurance, which is 21,000. Our auditors billed us for 27,000. Then we have 33,000 for our speed camera costs, rental costs. Then there's plan check, that is our inspection and permit review. And then the other amounts, the 95,000, 80,000, 77,000 are employee benefits.
So nothing from the lawyer.
If it didn't hit the 20,000 mark, it didn't get on the list.
Has his expenses dropped?
I haven't seen anything for September, but they have an agreement, I believe, that it's not to exceed 5,000 a month, I believe.
So they've written a new agreement with him? Is that the 6 months agreement?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so then
that's
after
what it
that,
is.
you guys are going out for,
I'm assuming they are.
haven't yet?
I'm not
They would be the town manager or the
Mhm.
council?
town manager.
So the 6-month extension on his current contract was through December or through next March or something?
I don't know.
I think what I read before was December through December.
That's what I
think.
thought as well. It was 6 months through December.
So
So that-
6 months into the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And that's next month.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, that would be a question I will have to ask the town manager.
When you were going through that list, Karina, you mentioned auditor, 27,000.
Mhm.
Where do we stand on the audit? When's
So-
it due?
I put in an extension through December 31st, just to be safe, because I have not gotten the financials, so I can't do the MD&A, and I'm not going to rush the MD&A. So
DNA?
management discussion,
Oh,
management analysis and discussion.
Since our fiscal year is July, June, then it's typically due at November 15th. So we already have it.
No, it's due October 30th or 31st.
Oh, And what tax form do we submit as a municipality?
We don't submit any
We don't-
taxes.
really?
No, we don't pay, we don't submit
Guess I
anything.
wanna declare myself as a municipality.
Oh, that's one thing we don't do.
That's good.
But the report goes to the state, is that
Yes,
right?
I have to send it to the state and the federal government. I have to send it to two entities.
Okay, and so the current deadline is the end of the year. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any, might be too early in the process, but do you as the treasurer have any concerns?
Not for the last fiscal year, no.
That's good.
That's one of the questions you'd be asked, right?
Yeah,
By
not
the
for the last
auditor.
fiscal year, not based on what we're currently doing. Of course, we're not in the budget with any changes or anything, so.
Yeah, it's better for the auditor to ask that question rather than the auditor to tell
No, they just review our document, make sure we're doing everything based on GAAP and GASB. We make the determination of how we record entries and stuff. They don't tell us how to do that. They just make sure we're doing it properly.
And they haven't found any glaring,
No,
no administrative issues that you think they're gonna write up?
no, no.
When will there be a draft available for us to look at?
It's hard to say. I'm hoping they get it to me next week so that I can start the MDNA. So,
This is probably a question back on the previous report, budget and so forth. Earnings from quote investments,
mhm.
has that changed? Because
It's
it's
still-
fundamentally
yeah.
based on Fed rates, right?
Yeah, and it's still pretty high. We're earning, I think right now investments, I mean, if you look at, do I have the miscellaneous revenue? Most of that's investment revenue. The majority of it, I would say 90% of it is from investments. So it's still, we're still doing pretty good with that. I just don't anticipate that continuing. And the town shouldn't rely on that revenue for
Yeah,
operating
That's,
expenses.
we're on the same wavelength. That's why I asked the
Mhm.
question.
Yeah.
Are any of those have locked in times like CDs will,
So I do.
or CDs?
We have about 9 million that I actually pick CDs and right now, my strategy is to do a 2-year CD and try to get lock-in rates for 2 years. The remaining amount is in a sweep account that gets invested in CDs, but it goes in and out.
How often? I guess I'm leading to the concept of laddering CDs. How often would you create a CD?
Every month,
Oh.
as they mature, I buy a new one.
Excellent.
Yes.
So you're
Yeah.
already mad at that.
Mhm.
So-
We pretty much, we are. There's some months that were a little more than others, but pretty much we are.
So that means every month you have that option of deciding whether to open a new one or use that money in a different way.
Mhm.
It's something that's not locked in.
Yeah, I've been just reinvesting it.
Mhm.
Yeah. When I came back, wasn't quite laddered, so I was doing some 6 months, some years, but now that I've been here for almost 3 years, a little less than 3 years, it's already created as a laddered, so I'm just buying 2 years out.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. Discussion recommendations of budget and spending proposal. What
Not
are
sure where that came from.
Yeah, we aren't in the budget yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering
Yeah.
where the budget and spending proposals.
Yeah, that's. Probably shouldn't be there.
Way down here. Yeah, we've got a little something on the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's not going to talk about reserves.
I was saving a piece of paper.
I hear you. Good for you.
Okay. Do we have any public? It says time for public comment.
Oh, a comment.
That's what's on there.
Somebody's been getting carried away with this.
I tell you.
Shelby, is anybody online that's not a member of the committee?
I'm off that.
No
Just-
public members online.
New business.
I have something. If, I would like to discuss the fact that, we have an inactive chair as part of our committee. And we're not really getting to any of the work in between our meetings because there's no coordination done. And, I'm not sure how the committee feels, whether we should put this on the agenda for next time, but I think that, I mean, our chair's been out for 3 weeks, 3 meetings in a row, and that's not counting the trip. But 3 meetings in a row, and I think that maybe it's time to address that.
I've been quietly concerned.
Is that something that as a committee we do? I mean, I've looked in here and I'm struggling a little bit with the wording because there's nothing in our procedures about that.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But it says 3 missed meetings in our ordinance and you're considered no longer a member of the committee, but that's
Well,
without
they
excuse.
missed or
I'm assuming that's
unexcused.
without excuse, not
Mhm.
with excuse. But for the chair, I think we need our chair here more than 60% of the
Yeah.
time. And we're averaging less than 60 right now.
I believe that the committee can make a recommendation that gets approved by council for the chair.
Did we vote on the chair?
We recommended, if I
Yeah, you
remember.
make a recommendation and
And
then,
actually, I think it went to the mayor,
yeah,
and the mayor presented it to the council.
yeah, and gets appointed by the chair and vice chair gets appointed by the
Because
council.
one of the things that we have discussed is the reserves. And as a group, we have not. There's nothing on the SharePoint that shows anything. There's been no communication on that from the last meeting to this meeting. So if anybody's doing anything about that, they're doing it individually, which is not
About what?
Mhm.
the reserves. We're supposed to give a recommendation
Oh, yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
this month.
I'm assuming we were going to make some discussion about it.
Yeah, but I'm saying we haven't had any discussion before today and we have 2 key players out.
Mhm.
So, I think we're a little broken at the moment.
So it is the ordinance. It does say the mayor does approve the chair and the vice chair.
Mhm.
They serve 2-year terms.
Well, 1 year. So
1
in,
year.
yeah, it's 1 year because when you guys came on, you did the 3-year terms and then the vice and the chair and the vice chair came on last and are doing the 1-year terms.
And that goes into my next piece. So do you want me to throw this out as well? I was looking, our first meeting was January 8th, 25, when 3 of us had our first meeting and our first full meeting with the committee at the time was the 25th. So that's our annual renewal meeting is one of those 2. And I don't know which one it should be, but maybe it should be the one where all 5 of us were originally here. At that point, 2 of our members are up for renewal or in January, which is only 8
Mhm.
weeks away, and then they'll go into a 4-year commitment.
Mhm.
And that's Williams and Sotomayor. Sotomayor.
Mhm.
And then the rest of us are the following year, including you.
Okay.
And then we go into a 4-year because we put you into the 2-year
Mhm.
position. So, so that was the other piece of this. That's what got me started. And then I realized when I walked in here today that we are down a person again. So I think
Yep.
it's time. I think I'd like to see it addressed. And I don't know how to go about doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I look at the vacancies here, a vacancy is created in a number of ways. A death, that didn't happen. Inability of a member to perform the duties because of physical or mental disability or incapacity. I don't think that's the case. Resignation. She has not resigned. Unexcused absence of 3 consecutive meetings. Are these absences excused or unexcused?
And what's the definition of excuse? Because I couldn't find that.
Yeah.
well, I would guess that an excused one is if someone reports that they cannot make,
Mhm.
what are you gonna do?
So.
But in other words, they're not even, some of them have not even had a note, we haven't had a notice in some
Mhm.
cases. Which is not good. I mean, things happen with people and naturally, sometimes they can't make it.
So hearing you say that, I agree with that. Janet, did Nicole report that she would not be able to attend this meeting?
Apparently she did.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
she
we know
emailed
that
me.
Randy did.
Yeah,
Okay.
he,
Of course, there's this catch-all, any other act or occurrence creating a vacancy.
Not to like overcomplicate it, I think it just might be as easy as, hey, we just noticed you haven't been here. Are you too busy? Like we could
Right.
put someone else in the role that can be more active. Like,
Right.
cause she knows it as well,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
And I'm not talking about the membership. I'm
Mm.
talking about
yeah, just
the
the,
chair.
yeah.
Right.
The rest of it can all fall out
Yeah,
as it does, but it's the chair piece that's concerning me because we're,
Mhm.
the chair is supposed to liaise. It's supposed, there's certain things they're supposed to do to make this committee.
Right.
And we're not, I don't think we're doing much between the meetings, and we have a responsibility. to-
Some of the things you've been doing are what really, I guess, a chair would do. Watching out for the, when there are times up for people to, kind of the mechanics of it. Have we, just as a side, have we had any other interest in, membership?
no,
No.
not since our last interview.
Okay.
No.
She's the business member, right? Because she's not a resident of La Plata like the rest of us, and she's not a La Plata taxpayer. She actually falls under the,
She is a resident.
no, she lives in Virginia.
No, she used to live in Virginia. She lives in La Plata.
I thought she was the business membership.
No,
The owner or manager of a small business, or is
I-
that you?
I did it for my, with, how he manages
Oh,
Port
okay.
Tobacco. That was my,
That's the
business.
business
Mhm.
member. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Okay. I thought she lived in Virginia.
yeah, the first paragraph of the composition of the members says blah, 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 and shall be resident within corporate limits of the town of La Plata. So all 5, 2, 3, 4, all 6 of us are residents of La Plata?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So even if we owned a business in La
It's
Plata,
the-
that still have to be a
okay,
resident.
okay.
Actually, I
No.
don't think a business you
The
do.
business,
You
you
don't.
don't have to be a resident.
You have to
The
own the
has
business
to
in
be
La
in La
Plata
Plata.
or manage a business. You don't have to own it, manage it.
Oh, okay.
Right, so that.
I shouldn't have said blah, blah, blah. 'Cause it's at
It's
least
quite
1 or
important.
2, not, okay, gotcha.
Um,
I can reach out and see if there's an interest in her remaining in the role that she's in. And see if there is still the ability to commit to the time.
I feel that Randy has done all the work.
But he's done a lot of the work.
Yes.
She did a great job there with
In the
that
very beginning, yes.
in the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um,
Help us understand what you were just proposing.
Well, I was going to reach out to her and ask her if she is able to commit to this, to the position. If not,
Position
then,
of chairman.
yes,
So she could still remain on the committee.
if that was, I mean, it comes up, and I don't know if I really should mention this, but Randy's not going to continue
As a member,
as a member when it ends. So we're going
So
to be down.
he's not renewing in January.
oh, so we need to be advertising now anyway. We already know that.
Mhm.
mhm.
Okay.
Well,
We didn't really make any super push for getting members, other than it was a new committee that may
Yeah.
have created some interest.
We did push it out on Facebook, put it on our website, which we can do again because I know we'll be down one as of January. So we could put another push out there.
I would.
well, we,
The other thing I would want to know is if anybody else had an interest in that position. So that at least somebody steps in if we don't find someone else.
I would like to address that 2 ways. One, since we know that Randy's leaving in January, time is of the essence. It would be
Mhm.
best if we could at least move toward having a person to be able to step in upon his leaving. And it takes time. So the sooner we get started on that, the
Mhm.
better. Do you need assist from the committee to do that?
We'll just put a push out on our Facebook, on our website. I mean, word of mouth from you guys
Yeah.
would be great. If you know somebody.
How did we find you? Andre?
So that's actually what I was just gonna bring up. I think what would be helpful, because, so I actually heard about it from my wife, who saw it in our community's Facebook group, because someone from the HOA posted it. So I think like if you somehow get it to like each of the HOAs, like these big townhome communities, that's
Oh, that's
300 plus households each that you can get a hold of. Because I see the La Plata Facebook page, and there's a decent amount of traction on there for how small the town is, but like I would think a lot of people are more in their HOA community groups. So if they see something from the town in there, I think has a more visibility.
okay. So I said two things. I'm going to say, going to insert a third. I think we should accept your offer to talk with Nicole to see if she's willing and able
Mhm.
to continue as the chair.
Okay.
That's willing and able. She might be willing, but not able. I mean, if she hasn't been at the
Right.
meeting,
I
There's
think,
something-
I think that's what we really need to point out, is able.
Right.
'Cause, I mean, she asked for it to start with.
and so
Uh-huh.
then depending upon the answer to that question, then at least we're already faced with having at least, let's assume she's willing and able. That means we have at least a vice chair position to fill. We don't know yet if we have a chair position to fill.
Mhm.
And we should not put ourselves in a position of starting a coup, right?
And that was not the intention. The
Right.
intention is to get us back on track because we have a deliverable that we promised the town manager at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And I can't do that in my own mind. I've done some research on it, but I need to be able to talk it out and get feedback from people that know maybe more than I do to support whatever recommendation we put out there.
Well, that item is on the agenda,
Yeah,
and I think we can still do some talking about it. I've done some research too.
Yeah.
And at least we can keep the ball moving, lacking our chair or vice chair.
Okay.
So it sounds like you'll talk with,
Yes, I
Nicole?
will reach out to the chair and I will also put together a push to announce the vacancy beginning January. See
Yeah.
what we can do.
well, they can come in before January.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And would you consider going back to being a full member on the
If,
alternative?
if it would help, I mean, I'm gonna try and,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be willing. I mean, purely step down because as far as I was concerned, I wasn't really giving up anything. And somebody else might not feel that same way. And if they want to come in as a member and me be a
Mhm.
alternate, then,
And that's,
and somebody that didn't own the committee already certainly wouldn't feel that way. They, so I'll put it like this, I'll do whatever good for the committee.
so whoever comes in will actually be getting a 4-year term.
I believe
Because
so, yeah.
Randy was up for renewal in
Mhm.
January, so they will be picking up his term. So
I believe so.
yeah,
That is
so they
correct.
will go directly into the
Mhm.
whole, to the 4-year commitment.
I believe so. I will confirm that with Kelly.
so Karen, you're raising a question in my mind. I'm a visual person. I would need to see a matrix of the list of our members, when they started, when their term is.
It's on the
Wait, all four?
SharePoint. It's on the SharePoint. I put it, there's an attendance Excel file in there.
I'm glad you raised that because I had, when I went to the SharePoint, I got a little symbol. You can add something now. There was nothing there. So it must not be where I think I'm going.
Okay. The town SharePoint, did you get into it? Kelly sent us all a link instead of doing the Google Docs.
Oh,
instead of
just
that-
another one? I don't think I saw that one, sorry.
It wasn't recent, it was a couple of months
Okay.
ago, but I've been putting stuff out there. And one of the things I put out there is from day one, that's how I found out that Andre didn't get acknowledged for that one meeting, was because I was putting an attendance
Oh,
thing
yeah.
together. Well, then after we talked last time, I went in and put everybody's start dates, and then it's got every meeting, so you can see who was at the first meeting.
So you're
Who
saying
has
it's
2
on the
years?
town website?
No, it's on the SharePoint that Kelly sent to us. Maybe we should get her to resend it to us all.
Well, I'll see if I find it in my emails. Different from the board portal.
Yes. Yeah, it's a town SharePoint, and she's put stuff out there. She's put our names and the information, and
I think I just found it. So if it is the one, I'll forward it to everyone.
Go to finance.
but it has it has everybody's names, and it has their term. Member 1 year, member 2 year.
And this
That's
came from
posted.
Kelly. You
Came
said,
from Kelly, yeah.
I was going back, look. What's two
It
sheets?
was October 7th. I found it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because we three were the original 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nicole and Randy were each 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe became alternate. So Andre picked up the remainder of his
Mhm.
original 2
Yep,
years.
that's correct.
Joe started as the alternate with a 2 year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was asking about the January 8th versus the January 22nd, which is going to be our annual date.
Well,
Because the 8th, it was just the 3 of us, and the 22nd, we had a full.
I would say the second one because, I would say the second date when everybody was here.
That's what I was thinking. I
Yeah.
just wanted to
Because we didn't have a chair or a vice chair until that
Yeah.
meeting.
correct, because they weren't, yeah, and we voted on them at that date, so that would make it the natural good, okay.
So when I look at the ordinance, I'm not sure how you're coming up with 3 of us have 2 year, because it says 2 members shall have 1 year, 3 shall have 3. How do you conclude that we are 2-year members?
Good question. Maybe I got it in my head wrong. Maybe the 3 of us are 3-year members then. 1 year and 3 years. Okay. I'll update that. So under documents. And under membership. And there's the attendance.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the list. No, that's just the roster. That's the
Okay.
names and that. But that attendance, that has everything. And I'll go in if I put that in wrong. Yeah, I will change the 2 years to 3 years. Thank you.
So
That was my mistake.
Brant, Gann, and Norris will be 3 years. Sotomayor and Williams will be 1. So Randy is completing his 1 year and not returning. So that, since Nicole is also a 1-year member, your conversation with her is important
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
also because she might decide, just like Randy, that she was only going to serve 1 year. So all the more reason why we need a push, because we might have to fill 2 positions. Mr. Chair, any other discussion on this item?
No, I'm
Just facilitating.
just, keeping things moving along. Good man. Okay.
If we're still in the new business part, there was one thing from the town tour that was just for me personally with a bit of an IT background, that was a red flag. I don't know if anyone remembers when we were at the water sewage plant or water treatment plant, sorry.
SCADA system.
No, it was actually the IT portion of it where they control their system. And they said that they haven't been able to do any Windows updates in the last 5 years because every time they update the system, the software crashes and doesn't work. And I don't know if that's something that needs, I don't know if that's them needing more money or if that's them needing a push on that, like the IT department, because I know that's not water treatment's
Well,
responsibility.
That should be a communication between the superintendent at the water treatment plant and our IT
Yeah.
position.
Mhm.
So I will bring it up to our IT specialist to reach out to the wastewater treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's important. 5 years, 7 years, they're
Yeah.
fundamentally Microsoft 10.
Well,
Can't get to 11.
yeah, I think he's like, I mean, running the same version of Microsoft for a while isn't a problem. It's the fact if you're not getting regular security updates.
Right.
That's
That's a problem,
that's a big,
especially for a public system like this.
yeah, okay. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that because
Yeah.
No, that's great.
yeah.
I will get with our IT person and have him reach out to them.
Yeah, because he also mentioned, I think he said they're 1 year away from a renewal of their infrastructure. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a good time to, whatever they need to make sure that that doesn't happen going forward.
Yeah, because,
Yeah,
you know, as I guess I'm the business person on this
Mhm.
because of my role with PTP. Is that what you said?
Mhm.
Okay. We just went through that. We just went from 10 to 11 and it was not without issues.
yeah.
In fact, just this morning, I was still dealing with one. I can put on my Xerox machine a document and it will print in color, but if I send it from my computer I can't get it to do in color. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Saves me on toner, but
Yeah.
when I want it in color, I want it in color.
And anything else?
Mm.
Because that was great.
Yeah, that was a good bring up.
Very good.
Oh, Open Meeting Act. That was the other, that would come under old business. That's outstanding items, isn't it?
Why is it outstanding?
Our chair and our vice chair, so forget that.
Oh, no.
Move on.
But I think you're raising a point that I was thinking about earlier. When I look at the ordinance, it only requires the chair and the vice chair to get that training, not the rest of
That's
us.
correct.
It's a small committee. Perhaps we all should consider getting that training. You
Well,
probably already have.
two of us have, I think.
I've had it too as a planning commission, but a long time ago, right?
Right, no, I just got it after all the discussion last month or month before. Didn't you, Karen? Yeah,
Oh.
but I can tell you, I would not want to be your guiding light.
I've forgotten most of what's on that, but yeah.
But
Have
anyway,
you taken the training, Andre?
I've not.
I've taken it a long time ago. How long does it take?
I have no idea.
about an
About
hour.
an hour. It's just what you can and can't do, and when you can and can't have meetings, and what is considered a meeting when we're not here.
Right.
What creates a group of us being together into a meeting. So things that we can't do because it might create a meeting situation.
Oh, okay. Like,
Well,
Yeah, which is not recorded, not noted.
Yeah.
I'll make a proposal. I don't know if this is a motion, but particularly in light of the fact that we don't have a chair and a vice chair present. And we should still be acting within the guidance of the Open Meetings Act. If it's a relatively simple training, I recommend we all take steps to get it. That's.
I think it's,
We're
Well,
more
it's
than
been
meeting at
recommended.
minimum.
I think it's recommended in your rules of procedure, whatever
Yeah.
it is, but it was required for the chair.
And our clerk, and new clerk, I'm sure she's had to take it. And Kelly, when she's here, I don't know,
Yeah.
have you taken it?
No.
No. So I think they're gonna keep certain eye on us, but we ought to at least have a best idea we can.
I'm putting it on my to-do list. There's
Okay.
nothing has to stop me from doing it, right? It
No,
wouldn't be illegal if I did.
no, it'd be great.
And is that a state of Maryland thing or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all online.
It's sort of like a lot of the real estate,
Right.
training that, you go through a chapter and
mhm.
they kind of help you along. you know, anyway. Okay, moving right along. Old business. Finance Committee Reserve Recommendations.
So I have done a little research, and you said you have done a little research. I would start by asking you, Karina, the question, what is our current reserve policy?
So we have only two that have, I can't remember if it's a resolution or an ordinance. One is for the, building, reserve, which is based on the depreciation, which has not changed since we put in there because it's based on the depreciation, which is about 150,000.
So that's capital.
Yes, that's a capital reserve. So that's one that really needs to be revised because we're putting the same amount in. We're not looking at what the actual replacement value of our buildings are, or when we're going to have to replace them, or what major repairs we're going to have to do.
That's the one that was the dollar amount.
Yes, that's a dollar
And
amount.
That's not being increased at all.
No, it's been the
Same
same.
years.
Well, it's not a dollar amount. It's based on a depreciation schedule.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
And you typically cannot replace a capital asset.
at the same amount cost
on
that
the
you
depreciated
buy.
value.
So that one definitely needs to be revised. And we have a vehicle reserve, but there's no ordinance or any regulate or any policies around it at all. We just had an amount there, which we no longer put in as, because it was put in as an expense. And even in the one with the building reserve, in there, it says we have to include it in our budget as an expense. Well, it's not an expense. What we want to do is say we're going to put in a certain percentage to reserve from our capital, or not our capital, but our fund balance for these reserves. So the way it's written is very poorly done.
Well, I looked at what the town manager gave us, and he
Mhm.
seems that he had for their county, and I've seen it done both ways because I looked at some others too. What he has is multiple in one document,
Mhm.
and I kind of thought that was an easy way of handling it.
Yeah,
What do you mean multiple in one?
He had the different reserve types in one document. He had one overall, is it?
One
all-
reserve, you cover all those?
I
No, it
don't
was
even,
multiple.
it probably should be an ordinance, just so that there's some establishment of this is how we're going to fund the reserves. This is what it's going to be used. This is how we're going to
Yeah.
replenish it. With the two that we do have, which is the storm reserve and the building reserve, it's based on a dollar amount. It's not really accurate on how we're going to use it or even anything around that.
Part of if we do something new, that can bring that right into it, can't it?
Yeah,
And take
mhm.
take the old way. out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So for clarity, I'm hearing you say that we do have some ordinances.
I don't know if it's an ordinance or a resolution. I can't
Okay.
remember, but we do have two, let's say, policies in place, one for the building reserve and one for the storm reserve.
And you're closer to the legal side of this based on having been the town council. Is an ordinance probably the right ultimate document we have when we make a decision?
I would think so. That's what I would think an ordinance would be most appropriate when you're establishing reserves.
So then we would come up with what the recommendation is.
I
The
told,
town manager would take that to the council as a recommendation
Mhm,
and legislation.
mhm.
Kelly would probably draw up
Yeah,
that list.
basically, what Chuck's looking for is what's the recommendation for us to establish these reserves? How should we fund these reserves? What amount is appropriate based on, I would say, our assets, but like I've sent you guys the asset listing, that's
Yeah.
from our accounting system. Or based on when we expect to replace vehicles. There's no policies or any guidance around establishing those reserves.
so your vehicle replacement is done through using the reserves, because I was thinking of the reserves as being an emergency fund for a catastrophic issue with a vehicle, as opposed to being your replacement schedule.
No, it's considered a replacement. So if say a vehicle should be replaced or repaired, that's more of our public works fleet maintenance to determine what we need to do. But the vehicle reserve is to ensure that we have funds to replace capital as needed instead of dipping into the unassigned reserve or not. So we have multiple funds, we have the unassigned fund balance, which is around right now about 11, 12 million. We have a contingency fund, which is our emergency fund, which is 1.6 million, which I also think we need to look at that one because that's for if, say, revenues decrease and we need suddenly need funds to support operating. Well, that's not even 2 months of our operating expenses on the general fund side.
What is 2 months?
I think it's like, I want to say 2.7, but don't
So
quote me on
really, the
that.
contingency fund needs to be 2.7.
It needs to be increased for 2 months. Right now, it's not, I think it's like it's less than 2 months, but more than one.
So let me back you up when you were talking about the fleet. And I think this is kind of rephrasing Karen's question. If we need to buy a new vehicle because the vehicle's gotten old enough to be replaced, we take that out of reserve funds?
So say that when the budget's being put together, the capital budget, we would take it either from the unassigned fund balance or the vehicle reserve. But there's nothing regulating of how we should choose to use the vehicle reserve, how we to fund it. It's just an account sitting there.
We have a lot of work to do because I'm sure your accounting shows the history of how often we replace vehicles and how much we spend when we do.
Yeah, actually, in the budget document that's on our website, there's the capital improvement plan that will show vehicles that are up for replacement.
So vehicles are considered capital in this case. Okay,
Yes.
so I guess I'm leaning toward, I don't believe that replacing a vehicle should come from reserves.
But
Particularly since we can establish a history of how often we have to replace vehicles. And we also know, as knowing that history, how much we've spent on vehicles when we have replaced them. And then you take into account inflation and so forth. It seems to me that 2.7 vehicles get replaced every year, just to pick a number. And that ought to go into the regular budget for that year.
So, the budget is the operating budget and the capital budget. They're two separate. So when I did the operating budget, we had a surplus, I want to say of 158,000. I took that and did a transfer to the capital budget to cover the cost of capital assets. And we had vehicles in there. So if you look at the budget and you look at the summary of the budget, you'll see a transfer to capital, which is a transfer to the capital budget from our tax revenue or operating revenues to cover it. But you'll also see that we couldn't cover all capital. We had other vehicles in there. I can tell you right now, there were more vehicles than what we had surplus or not surplus, but the amount that was left out after all the operating expenses went to the capital.
You're escrowing.
Hmm.
You're basically doing an escrow.
I would say the escrow is what we have in the fund balances. This is when I do the budgets. Because before we used to just lump everything together. And then we separated the operating and the capital budget. Well, the operating, we look at our revenues, tax revenues, the fees that we collected from permits and all those things. And then the expenses for the operating costs, salaries, benefits, supplies and material, contracted services, those type of things. So I believe, don't quote me, but I believe there was 158,000, something like that, that was the surplus on the operating side. That was a transfer. It shows zero on the budget. If you open up the budget document, it shows zero because we transferred to the capital budget to cover the capital cost of vehicles. And there's a whole listing of what vehicles were being replaced, what capital, because some of the parks, Wills Parks is in there, and where the funds are coming from.
And that 150 is in the capital budget,
Correct.
not reserves.
And that's not,
Correct.
is the capital budget this unassigned balance?
Correct.
So everything's in this $11 million.
Yes.
Are we,
On
supposed to
capital.
be- yeah, of capital. So are we supposed to be pulling from that $11 million and saying we think that this amount should be the basis for the vehicle reserve, and then going forward, 2% each year should be added to it. Is that?
The,
what we're looking at?
well, the idea is to establish reserves. So we have this
From the
12 million.
11.
Yeah. We already have reserves for the building reserve, which I think there's like, I want to say 2 million something in the building reserve. There's, I'm not sure, I want to say 800,000 in the vehicle reserve. We already have these reserves set up in our finance system. We just need some policies and of what we're going to do. How are we going to fund it? What are we going to use it for? What should our threshold be? Those type of
At
things.
the risk of asking a question that you're going to say, I've already given you that, Mike.
Sorry.
Where can we see what you've just described? What each reserve is and how much it is?
I can provide that to you.
And
Okay.
what it's dedicated to.
Yes.
Yeah, I
What
can
it's,
provide.
it's so that we can't touch it for something else.
Well.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
the
that's the problem. is
Yeah,
that
we didn't-
There is really
There's
nothing
in
around
there
there.
at all.
We've
Yeah.
earmarked this money for this, yet we never established real concrete regulations on how to use it, how to fund it, what qualifies.
And what, I mean, for example, the way I'm looking at vehicle reserve, which goes back to what Mike was saying, to me, that's the emergency fund. Or if we're putting money in it for a vehicle, then it should be dedicated to replace police officer car
And that's what it-
167
Yeah,
and 169.
that's exactly what it
And
should
then there
be.
should be an emergency piece that's not touched unless,
Well, that would be our contingency, which we
It
currently have
might
1.6.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
We have a contingency of 1.6 million.
is
But we
that
still-
tied to each of these different reserves?
No.
Just an overall-
So that's
Okay.
the contingency. Yeah, let me send you the listing of all of them.
I don't think I'll be.
So
looking
in
at-
our financial statement, so in our financial statements, it actually lists them all and all
Okay.
the fund balance.
Mhm.
So if you go to our last financial statements, you will see the listing of all the reserves we have.
So this discussion has told me that I was woefully underestimating the scope of this because I was
too.
focusing on operations. And I'm keying in on the statement that you made that we are woefully underfunded
Well,
if
it's,
we consider 2 months as a reserve for operations.
well, that's for contingency. The point is we have this 12 million, almost 12 million in unassigned fund balance. And right now, that means we can do whatever we want with it. But we don't have the reserves established that we're going to need in the future. And that's what we're trying to make sure that before we go off and start spending this money, that we have appropriate levels of reserves and an idea of how we're going to keep them funded and when are they going to be used and how are they going to be replenished.
So I think what I'm hearing from you and Chuck, you're seeking advice from us to know what would be the recommended levels of reserves for each of these particular categories.
And
You're
the
gonna
use
give us a
cases
picture.
for when we can use it.
Pardon me?
And the use cases for when we can pull
Yes.
this. That,
And-
yeah.
And how are we going to fund them once we use them? How are we
Right.
going to replenish them?
And then when you say, apparently this unassigned reserve is the largest
Mhm.
and we can do whatever we want with it.
Well, it's not
Since it's
dedicated to
unassigned.
anything.
Right.
We need to take that $11 million and put it into, excuse me if I get this right, building, vehicle.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what we need to do is establish what's appropriate for the building reserve, what's appropriate for the vehicle reserve, and then
Guys.
allocate that unassigned fund balance so that we have appropriate levels in these reserves. So when we do need to replace vehicles or when a building needs to be replaced, we have the funds to do it.
What's in our rainy day?
The rainy day is the contingency fund, which is 1.6.
Okay, it seems like everything's called a contingency fund. Everything that we talk
Wait.
about keeps being.
Yeah, well, so if you look on our financials and you look at all the reserves, you'll see contingency 1.6, you'll see unassigned, you'll see vehicle, you'll see building, you'll see storm, you'll see a project reserve. All of those are in our financial statements.
And the rainy, that's the 1.6 is,
Mhm.
but that can be used for anything.
Well, technically it's for emergencies.
So.
The unassigned fund balance can be used for anything.
Okay.
And how is it invested?
So right now, we don't have it like, it's not like separate bank accounts. Right now, we have the multi-bank securities, that's where I actually go in and purchase CDs. That's where the 9 million is. There's another 4 million in the, the municipal investment account. And then we have the remaining balance of funds that are in our regular bank account that goes into a sweep account that's purchased CDs. So right now, there's about 1.7 million that stays in our checking account. The rest is invested.
Okay, so that probably answers the next question. If we had an event that would require you to dig into reserves quickly, how quickly could you get to a set amount of money?
Very quickly.
Okay,
The reserves are are not our bank account. The reserve says this is how our cash is allocated. This is how our savings are allocated. The savings are in our bank account, but clumped together in our general ledger or on our financials. This says this is what the monies
yeah,
are
so if
dedicated
you have
for.
20 million there, your ledger shows that 20 million is divided up these.
Well, yeah, yeah.
It
So
doesn't mean-
there's the
doesn't
cash
mean you
and then
have 20
there's.
different
reserve.
accounts.
Yes. It
But-
just says this is how we're allocating
makes
our
sense.
funds. Yeah. So say that we do have something that suddenly costs, say, 5 million. We can just use that reserve. We record it out of that reserve to what we need and then get the
Okay,
cash.
and
Yeah.
so part of the question that we're being asked to address is also, how do you fund these reserves? So you just raised a great example. If we have to dig in there and dig out 5 million, okay, what are we going to do to replenish that 5 million?
Well, that's where our budget comes into play. Right now, we have a certain amount of revenue come in. We have a certain amount that we have to maintain for operating expenses. Should we be, right now, we're pretty much, our revenues coming in are pretty much matching our expenses. Do
So
we need it?
don't have any reserves built into our current reserve replenishment built into our current budget?
Correct.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
risky.
And that's the thing. Should we be allocating, I'm just throwing out numbers, 10% to go to our reserves? Should we say, okay, when we prepare a budget, 10% of the revenues come in should be for capital? There's
And
nothing
I
that's
guess-
established
But
there.
there's got to be best management practices
Mhm.
throughout the state for towns that are already doing this.
And there are towns that have reserves. It's just what is appropriate for us. Yeah, we have a vehicle reserve, we have a building reserve, but we don't have anything comes on how, other than the 2 ordinance of how we should be using it, how we should be funding
And
it.
we have $11 million that can be accessed way too easily.
And we got to do something with it before,
November 30th.
for something
Well,
else,
you know-
before the council.
Realizes.
Yeah, well, the idea is to make sure that we have appropriate reserves, because if we don't have that and we start spending this money, because the police need a new building, Public
Yeah.
Works wants a new building, they want a pension system, we're going to be depleting that unassigned fund balance very quickly. And yet we still haven't determined what our needs are in these building reserves. We have them, but
And
we
there's
don't.
also a lot of flack right now about the cost of everything within the town. So, I mean, the town's not going to take kindly to having taxes or fees raised when we're sitting with $11 million, which is that easily accessible.
We also need to make sure that we define what we mean by reserves and provide appropriate education if necessary. Because in my mind, a reserve is for an emergency. You put away money in some unexpected
Yeah,
event.
well, I wouldn't
you've
say it's
got-
emergency. It's also for planning, capital planning.
Right. I was gonna say,
So
that-
like the building reserve, that's for planning. We're going to eventually have to replace some buildings. The police won't need a new building. Well, we only established this, what, maybe 6, 7 years ago, and they're, I think, close to 3 million. Don't quote me. I think it's like 2.8 million. Well, that's not enough to replace a building.
Okay, so you've tempered my thought well. That was a good response. But I brought up what I said because what I was hearing, we shouldn't be leading the council to believe that because we've got 10, $11 million sitting there, we can spend it willy-nilly.
No.
That,
Maybe we need two sets of terminology, one for emergency, maybe that's the reserves, and one for vehicle purchasing and the other things that we need, and that's an escrow, but they're
Yeah.
both restricted funds.
Yeah, they are. We
Yeah.
have them titled as reserve, but they are restricted. Well, and that's the problem. We say they're, and actually they're not restricted. They're assigned because under,
It should be restricted.
yeah, they should be, but there's nothing guiding them to say they're restricted. The only things that are restricted are like the HUR dollars, the highway user revenue, that we have a very specific, we can only use it for the roads,
Mhm.
for road maintenance, for road resurfacing. We can't use it for anything else. But even though we have something in a building reserve, we don't have anything.
The
Or-
ordinance would
yeah.
cover that, then,
Yeah,
right?
that's what we need.
Right.
Yeah.
The proper ordinance.
Hmm.
Well, this is late in the game because the scope of this is much bigger than I thought it was earlier.
So it's more of understanding how old buildings are, and we are getting an assessment of all of our buildings and properties. So that can also help with guiding this of what is the status condition of all the buildings the town has and
Looks like
what are
we-
the town using them for? So that is out there, that's being worked on. So that might be a piece that needs to be done before we can establish what percentage or how much should we be putting in the building reserves.
I kind of feel that we need to take a step back. Push the deadline out. That we promised Chuck, because I don't see us getting this done in 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, same thing
doing
with
it
the,
properly.
the vehicle replacement. We have a listing of the vehicles with the age and the mileage, and we just need to assess when are these going to be replaced and make sure we have the funds available in that
And
reserve to replace
restrict
them.
that money into an
Mhm.
escrow or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. And maybe the rainy day becomes the reserve. I mean, maybe the terminology can be changed a little bit. To add to it, but. I mean, I think we need to sit down and have a work session on this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I don't see us being able to do this over the phone or by email.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you take a note when we asked to back in. It's a picture of the various reserves we have and what they're assigned to,
Mhm.
even though most of the reserves are unassigned.
They're all assigned. They're not restricted.
Okay.
That's the first thing we need to do is.
There's
we
a
need
whole
we need
definition.
Policy for when
Yeah.
it gets restricted and then stuff.
Yeah. Because assigned means, okay, we've internally allocated this to something and that's what we're going to use it for. There's nothing regulating saying that, oh, we can change our minds.
Well,
And that. takes
how
time
easy
to
is
do
it to
that.
change your mind? Would that need approval from the council or can Chuck make that decision?
Well, let's
Or
put,
you?
let's look at the project reserve that was set up. The project reserve was set up because we used the ARPA funds for salary, so we wouldn't lose that funds. Well, there were projects that the council said we wanted to get done. But it's not in any ordinance or anything. So they could, and the police did this where they said, well, we're no longer going to use these funds for this license plate reader. We want to use it for this borrow machine. And all they had to do was say, that's what we're going to use it for when they did the purchase instead of using those funds. So it's not restricted. It can be moved around, but it just needs a consensus from the council to do that because this was the original idea that they originally had. So as long as they approve that, and it doesn't need to be through a ordinance or anything, the resolution to purchase the item is already listed that that's where the funds are coming from. So
And we don't run a risk of heat from the providers of the ARPA grant?
no, because we've already met all the qualifications for those funds. We just put them in an assigned reserve because we had an idea of what we originally was going to use it for, but we kind
Yeah,
of
it's still gonna
laundered
get
it.
the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a way of not losing it.
Yeah.
But we still had these projects that were what the council wanted to do.
So we would only tie up items as in either reserve or as restricted funds that truly need to be restricted.
Correct.
You
And
have
that
to
would be,
Careful on that too.
like the vehicles, that if we put it in this reserve,
And that's where
that's what it
stays.
should be used for. It can't
So you
be,
have to
Right.
think that through
Mhm.
as well.
yeah.
Question real quick. I don't believe it's been touched on. Do we also then need to decide with the parameters who has release authority or is that automatic?
I would think it would have to be incorporated in the ordinance. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking. Would it be council? Would it be the finance department? Would it be?
Well, it would have to be council.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if we put in an ordinance, then I'm bound by what the ordinance says. I
Okay.
can't make any changes to
Got
that.
it. Got it. Okay.
Rainy, wow.
We want to. Tim?
Well,
I knew I didn't
I'm
like
hearing
it.
two things. You're gonna, Karina, you're gonna provide us some information.
Yes, I will send you guys, I will send you the financials, the page that has lists all the reserves.
Okay.
When I say reserves, I mean, those are the fund balance, allocated fund balance.
So they're monies that you have assigned. You're
Correct.
gonna send us the assignments.
Yes.
Now, what about the things that haven't been assigned that should be assigned that you're aware of?
Well, the only other thing is the unassigned fund balance. We've established, so in the listing, there's the vehicle reserve, there's the building reserve. If during your research, we should have another reserve, we can establish another reserve.
Yeah.
Right now, you'll see what we currently have on our general ledger and what we're reporting in our financial.
I also don't think it would be a bad idea to just have it as an umbrella fund. Just in case any of the other ones go over, you have
Right.
something covering each of them, like all of them.
And currently our
But if we do find
unassigned
something, I
is
think, yeah,
serving that purpose.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I think Karen's right. We're not gonna meet this deadline that Chuck has given
Mhm.
us. We need, whatever we need to do is to get agreement from him that it's gotta be, this is a bigger scope than we had led
Mhm.
ourselves to believe, and part of that's complicated by the fact that, as we discussed earlier, we're not doing a lot
Mhm.
between the meetings.
That's one of the reasons I think that we set up the SharePoint. Is it, it's a SharePoint,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That she set up, that we set up that was so that we could start putting stuff out there. And I have put some information out there since she set it up. There's some reserve information.
So
stuff
each
that-
of us has the freedom to put stuff on that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And all I've done is created folders at the moment and put
Okay.
things where I think they are. So there is a reserves folder in there, and the information that Chuck gave us with was it the brown, the
Mhm.
thing, that's all in there as well. And I glanced at that and I'm like, okay.
You could literally work with what Chuck sent you from County of La Plata.
That's
Say,
in
okay,
there too.
how should we revise this to be appropriate for the town of La Plata?
That would probably be a great start.
And that's on the SharePoint as well. It's one of the files saved onto there.
How do we want to proceed from here? Then we just have to convey to Chuck, I guess, our thoughts and
Do we want to set a meeting up to work on this?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
A work
I
session?
think so.
2 weeks?
I think 2 weeks to Thanksgiving. Isn't it?
you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's not a good solution.
No,
Yeah. Attendance
Uh,
might be low. No.
One week before the next regular meeting? So the 4th?
I have jury duty that week. If I don't end up in jury, yes. They might not want me.
I think that's gonna be probably the best bet, unless we do it next week, because if we don't do it, like if we do it the week after the next meeting, people might already start having Christmas plans.
I can do next week if we do
I could do
Thursday
next week.
afternoon.
Which means we would need your information in
I will
advance of that.
send it to you when I leave
Okay.
this meeting.
And actually, that might be
And-
good because it'll still be fresh in our heads from the shock that we've just sat through right
Yeah.
now.
Right. So
So
I can see Chuck now. Oh, you're gonna have the meeting next week? It
So
means
the
you'll still
20th.
have this done by the end of the month,
Okay.
right?
Do we want to go,
may or may not.
do we want to go a little earlier? So that we can,
I mean,
Probably
whatever you
not gonna-
guys
I'm pretty.
want to
available
do.
all day that day, except in the evenings.
Yeah, we're talking about the 20th.
20th.
the
right?
20th, yeah. I can do any time after 11:30.
Same here.
for me, too early, like I'd say 1 or noon or 1 is probably
1
the
o'clock.
earliest. Yeah, 1's probably the earliest. That would be.
So if we do like 1 to 4, 1 to 4,
Okay.
okay.
Hmm.
Can we, maybe
Do
get
we
a
have
couple
any-
of flip charts and stuff in here? Just in case we get carried away and want to put something up so we don't forget it.
Do we have any issues getting access to this room for that meeting?
I will have to check.
Okay.
If not, is there somewhere else we can do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could find another place. Yeah.
That's good, because I won't make the December meeting. I'm having surgery that day, so
Okay.
it's on the record now.
Your doctor's record, your record, and now ours, right? We wish you well.
Thank you. We call it the reserve slash.
And that'll be a working meeting.
Yep.
Reserves.
Working meeting by
Work.
definition means not public.
No,
No, it's still a public meeting.
Well-
There's no decisions made.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think you have-
that's
No
right.
votes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hopefully we can knock it out in that time.
And you say what Chuck provided is on the SharePoint?
Yes, I put the brown thing up there. I also put some reserves up from a couple of other towns that I found. There's a whole reserve file in there and there's different things and some of the stuff that you would send, the stuff you would send us, they're both in there. If it's an audit, whatever that is, the ordinance or whatever. I put all of that in there.
Anything else for the good of the cause? Right. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Amen.
I've been, you guys,